So if you read the title, I probably know what you're already thinking. I'm going to clear the air right now. We don't do the GOAT debate over here because, and I used to, and I don't know why I used to, but I used to. But what happens is it narrowed down to two players really, which I think is kind of unfair, first of all, to a lot of other guys who played. And then just both sides, they just start lying right out the bat. And so, like, you got the LeBron side, who I love LeBron. And if you think he's the GOAT, that's fine. But when you say something like Michael Jordan didn't have competition, you just kind of snitching on yourself a little bit. Just off the simple fact that he beat Hall of Famers in every – put it this way, right? So if you're going to say LeBron has an excuse because he went against 4 Hall of Famers, you got to acknowledge the 86 Celtics who had Dennis Johnson, was a Hall of Famer before he got to Boston. You got to mention Larry Bird, who's obvious. Kevin McHale is one of the best power forwards of all time, and Robert Parrish is one of the best centers of all time. He never beat that team, but he did beat the Pistons, who had Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, and Dennis Rodman, who are also Hall of Famers. And so you have to do that. And on the other end, you got the Jordan people who are LeBron's finals record, which to have a finals record is impressive enough. LeBron's not having a killer instinct, quote unquote, which isn't really a real attribute, but he does have it. It's just in a different way. He's not trying to kill the player across him. He's trying to kill the coach. And I think by now we should have probably picked up on that. And for me, I just feel like that conversation, it's gotten to a point where the quote of comparison is a thief of joy just starts to come to mind for me, to where it's like, I grew up loving LeBron. And I also grew up in the era of ESPN Classic, of NBA Sheet Volume 2, having the loading screens that'll tell you about the legends and all this stuff. And so for me, it's just like, it's fine to just appreciate and love all these players. We don't necessarily have to pit them against each other. And if we want to have a cool debate on why we prefer this one, that's fine. But as far as just pretending the other guy's a bad player or was a bad player or wasn't playing against this or he shouldn't get credit for this, and because it doesn't make sense to me. So it's we're doing something a little different all the time, but especially with this episode, we're just paying respect to people who deserve the respect. You know what I mean? And so, Frankie, if you have anything on that, you just go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, man. You mentioned NBA Street Volume 2, so I got to mention Bonafide is the top 5 guard of all time. Stretch, one of the best threes to ever do it. No, it's just fun talking. Everybody's gonna have your opinions. Everybody's gonna have your perspective. Us as Heat fans see Dwayne Wade a lot differently than other fans. We see Jimmy Butler differently than the other fans. If you're a Portland fan, you're gonna want Dame to get more credit than he gets. You're going to want Clyde Drexler, Bill Walton. As every fan has their perspective, and that's where we try to give we're Heat fans first, but we love the game of basketball. We try to give respect to where it's doing, and we're young too, so like. We're also trying to learn more about the older game of basketball that we didn't get to watch and stuff, and we're trying to get to watch more and learn about. We've been talking about old basketball player stats and John Havlicek and all this shit. So it's a lot of fun, man. Just the game of basketball is amazing.
Cool.
No, man, there's nothing else to add, man. It's the biggest gift that I think we've ever received, was just in general what it's become. And what it's going to continue to become. I love the conversations of eras. It's something that's a little tricky, but just the conversation of just talking hoops is something that will forever be lovely, man. It's what the NBA has given us across all these different eras, all these different style of plays. And when you try to pit them against each other, that's really when you try to take away the beauty. Just appreciate it for what it was, appreciate it for what it is, and let's keep moving, man.
Yeah, and we're not telling anybody what to do.
No, for sure.
I mean, look, if that's the way you view the game, want to talk about it, you can go right ahead and do it. I'm just not going to participate in the conversations. As far as other outlets doing it, I understand. Look, this is a new show, but I look at metrics and all this stuff. I understand. I see the spikes when we talk about LeBron. I see this. We haven't mentioned Jordan yet, but I understand, like, you have to get the content. And if that content works, you keep doing it to put money in your pocket, whatever it is. But us personally, we just don't care. And so if you're looking for that, then I mean, we may not be the place for you. But if you just love the game of basketball and you have some great memories from your childhood about it, or even now you have a favorite player or a favorite team who you feel like doesn't get the credit they deserve or may deserve more coverage, then you'll go ahead and tune into us and you won't be disappointed. Because I mean, not to sound, I'm not an arrogant person anyway, but we know our shit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 10 of Playoff Foul. Now, if you're watching on video, Lou wanted us to mention we are wearing the same clothes last episode. That's because we recorded last episode about 15 minutes ago.
Yep.
So that's what it is. But got Frankie G with me. Frankie, how you doing today?
I'm still doing good. Very tired. Very tired. We're putting in work. I feel like Tom Thibodeau. A Tom Thibodeau player right now, just pushing through the max. My back hurts, got to get that little old dang spinal tap right now. But we ready to go.
So I've already played 48 minutes and I'm about to play 5 more in overtime. It's a close game. I got to edit, upload, but hey, we getting it together. You know what I mean? We getting this content out. We
have
also
enough.
We have lives outside of this that we have to tend to. And so, look, man, comment, rate, subscribe. You know what I mean? Because my goal is to be able to quit my day job. So the faster I can do that and tend to this and get them, my co-hosts, to be able to quit their day jobs and move this thing along, the better. And so,
Amen.
Hey,
Amen
man,
to that.
Lou, how you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, man. I feel like Tyrese Maxey with Nick Nurse playing 42 minutes in a blowout game. It doesn't matter, but you got to be out here hooping, man. I'm here for it.
Yeah, man, we getting it together, man. We got people who follow us already, you know what I mean, who like the show, who appreciate the show. Comment, rate, subscribe, continue to do so. We're going to keep giving you this content because, like I said, I got big plans for this thing. We're just trying to make it work. But we're going to get into this right away because it's late at night and I have an even later night to get to. All-time, all-defensive first team. We're doing this sort of like a draft. We're not choosing our team right away. So that being said, if one person picks a player, the next person cannot. But at the end, we're going to explain how we're going to get these teams to work defensively, how they work together. It's not just random names. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to really do something here, something a little different. So I'm going to go to Frankie first. So Frankie, who is the first player off the board for you?
Oh, man, this is tough. First pick is a lot of pressure for all defense. I don't think this guy is the best defender of all time. He's up there, but I think if you want to make it work on both ends, you got to go with the best guy. And this guy definitely has the accolades. One of the only guards to win a DPOY. One of the best at steals. Very versatile defensively. Michael Jordan, his airness, could guard point of attack, could guard on the wing, could play up his big ass hands, his athleticism. He was just an incredible player to watch, and he beat the Monstars by himself. So like, what else is there to say? He's one of the greatest to ever do it, arguably the greatest to ever do it. And he was not a slouch on defense by any means. And I would very much like to start my team with Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and to expound on that a little bit, and not to compare eras, because I also don't do that. There's too many differences within eras. But I do want to say for Michael, because there's a lot of, you know what I mean? And it's fully understandable that if you expend a lot of energy on defense, you may struggle offensively and vice versa, because we do have to begin to view these players like humans who play basketball. And no matter how much you work out in the summer, you got adrenaline going in games. You get tired. And so to be able to do both things at a high level is insane. And so to think that Michael Jordan in 1988 won Defensive Player of the Year and averaged 35 points a game,
like ridiculous.
What can you even say to that? What can you even say to that? And so I'll go next. Frankie didn't go best defensive player of all time. I will do that, at least in my opinion. And I'm going to go with Dennis Rodman. So you talk about the original being able to guard 1 through 5. And I'm going to mention some older names because I watch older games. I'm on the NBA app. If it was played between 1979 and today, I probably saw it. Or I probably saw that team in some capacity at least. And so I've seen Dennis Rodman shut down point guards, and I've seen him give Kareem Abdul-Jabbar a real hard time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was about 7'3". Dennis Rodman was about 6'7" and 210 pounds. Mm-hmm. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had trouble scoring on him. Magic Johnson had trouble getting past half court on him. This is arguably the greatest point guard of all time. And it's just Dennis Rodman kind of gets left behind because of not only him not scoring the ball, but he gets viewed as he did it like the guy who partied a lot, the guy who went out a whole bunch, but he doesn't really get mentioned as a 5-time NBA champion a whole lot. And to win championships, you need an elite defense. And Dennis Rodman was the anchor of every defense that won those championships, including 1989, where he went against the Lakers and shut down Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Two-time depoy.
And so it's just like, man, greatest defender of all time, in my opinion.
Not going to argue.
Lou?
No, you're not going to get an argument from me. I'm gonna take this a different route because I'm gonna go by a position of scarcity. Now I don't want to say scarcity. I just think the position where I think by far like this player is the best defender at this position, and that is the glove. His name is literally what it is Gary Payton. Talk about just absolutely destroying game plans offensively at the point of attack, just being in lanes, pickpocketing, doing everything while still carrying a load offensively, obviously. Yeah. It's Gary Payton. He was literally brought back at 37 years old by Shaq to the Miami Heat just so he could play some defense for him and help him out. He was doing that throughout his entire career from his Supersonics days to, well beyond that. And it was just he was one of the most prolific defenders, one of the peskiest dudes in the league. And that is why I'm taking him with my first pick, man, at the point guard position. Because I feel like the point guard position, there is some good defenders, but I feel like personally, Gary Payton is probably just a slight edge over everybody else. It's probably him.
Pick.
Yeah.
Great pick.
I'm going to correct myself real quick. Remember, it's late at night when we're recording this. So it was actually the 1988 finals and the Pistons lost, but the point still stands. Dennis Rodman was out there guarding Magic Johnson, and he was out there guarding Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he was doing a great job on both of them. And we'll do sort of a snake draft this time. So, Lou, you can go ahead and pick again.
Oh, man. So I'm gonna accompany Gary Payton with somebody who I think also has every ounce of that dog in him, and that is Ben Wallace. I was gonna save it because there's a lot of very good big men. But I got to take the guy who leads the NBA all time in Defensive Player of the Years, a man who came into the league undrafted and literally headlined the Pistons defense for damn near a decade to slightly above that, like just making them literally like just unstoppable on that end, helping them accomplish championships, morph to any scheme. He was about 6'9", 6'10"-ish. Like he wasn't the biggest dude at this time because, at this time it wasn't like, small ball fives were a thing or any of that, especially when you're going up against the Shaqs of the world and, different players of that mold. And he was still holding his own, shutting everything down. The ultimate hustle player, like he made a living on that end of the floor. And that is why I will be taking him with my second pick.
Okay. So my second pick, I'm going to go with a big man who is known for his offense, but should have some credit for his defense. And that big man is Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yes, sir.
You can get into whether you rank him as greatest big of all time. I don't know. I don't really care about that. But defensively, when you talk about a center you can rely on for about 5 stocks who can get out and guard the perimeter at above 7 feet, who can, like I said, protect the paint, not shut down point guards necessarily, but hold his own. And if he does get blown by, he had the athleticism and the instincts to recover, who didn't fall for pump fakes, we know how proficient he was on offense, how he was the same way on defense, as far as the discipline, as far as reading his opponent, as far as reading what's going to happen on the floor. He's somebody who just doesn't get the credit he deserves necessarily in general, but especially defensively. To be able to average 4 blocks a game and not go for blocks like that is crazy enough. And then to also be able to steal the ball, to be able to pickpocket guards if they come near you. It's like, man, he had to get some credit at some point on this show in some way. And all-time defensive team, he has to be on it.
Yeah.
I love this. The idea of the snake draft even better because I get to you guys both picked your center. I can wait on my center later. Now I'm going to take advantage and take the guy with the most all defense of all time, Tim Duncan.
Damn it. Motherfucker. I'll be damned.
He's I still feel like he's an underrated defender somehow. Because he's not a flashy guy. He was never a flashy player, never a super exciting player in the terms of like athletic explosion, verticality, but just one of the most fundamentally sound players of all time. Just smart, knew where to be all the time. And he was one of the funniest shit talkers of all time, just telling him, hey, try better next time. And kicking your ass while doing it. The championships speak for themselves. I feel like he should have won more. Won more like recognition defensively. I don't even remember if he got a depoy. He got 8 first team all defenses, and that's from 99 to 2008. And he was still getting all defense second team in 2015. From 1999 to 2015, he was an all defensive level player in the NBA. Never won a depoy. It doesn't look like.
No, never did.
That's incredible. One of the greatest players to ever do it on both ends, and his defense was impeccable. Now, defensively, I was going to pick Rodman. You took that from me, Kenny. Let's go for the second guy. I'm going to go with a guy who has a lot of all defensive teams too. 5th all time, one of the greatest guys to ever play, one of the greatest sidekicks to ever do it. I'm going to pair him with his airness because he's on my team too. Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen switching on to Magic Johnson won them their first championship, guarding them, shutting it down. Him and MJ just harassing Magic, not letting them get anywhere. Pippen, big hands, super athletic, could guard 1 through 4, could front the post, could stop point of the attack, could, when he, and defensively, like when he had the mindset of shutting somebody down and embarrassing them. We've all seen the Dream Team. We've all seen what they did to Tony Kukoc. Scottie Pippen. I want Scottie Pippen with Magic Johnson, with Michael Jordan and Tim Duncan to round out my team, my core.
That's crazy.
So I'm going to go a little more recent, just a little more recent. You know what I mean? This is somebody who also doesn't get a ton of credit. It's mostly because of, look, he's not all there. You know what I mean? He's a little like there's people who live outside the box, people who live off the rails. But you gotta love him, you gotta respect him. I'm going with Ron Artest. Now, he doesn't get the credit he deserves necessarily, and it's like watching those games and watching those series and the players he was able to give trouble, whether it was LeBron James, whether it was Dwayne Wade, whether it was Kobe Bryant, whether it was whoever it was, because you're talking about somebody who was 6'7", 200, sometimes 260 pounds, but no fat. And just being able to slide his feet, being able to guard 5 positions. He had the quickest and strongest hands in the league at some point. If he could have kept it together with his temper, he get a lot more credit. But it's like I'm going to give him that credit regardless because there's not a lot of people in NBA history who could guard 1 through 5, whether on ball, off ball, wherever you put them. And Ron Artest is one of those people on that very small list. And the strength is what set him apart from everybody because he could overpower guards. And even if you were big trying to post him up, you had trouble getting position. And his defensive IQ is also something that goes underrated because you just don't consider IQ with somebody who has that temper, but you can never say Ron Artest didn't know basketball.
Absolutely.
And so not only just the physical stuff, being able to slide his feet, it's the making the correct rotations, helping at the right times, whether it was hedging or recovering, whatever it was, just playing perfect defense at all times. And even if he did get scored on, it was very tough. And so my pick this time around is Ron Artest, for sure.
One of the only guy, I think he's the only guy still that his signature shoe was him in a defensive stance.
and it makes total sense. And it makes complete sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great pick.
I got 2 picks back to back here. So I'm gonna go with the Claw, Kawhi Leonard. I know you got Scottie Pippen. I wish I could get him, but I think I'm gonna get probably, somebody who's on par with him. 2 defensive player of the years for somebody who hasn't even been healthy his whole career and has had a short one at that. Only played 659 games. As a 21-year-old, was giving LeBron James every kind of problem defensively. The famous clip has been, we brought it up on the show, LeBron saying fuck, and he wasn't even in the game. He was just checking in. And the finals, it's just what he does, man, defensively during his peak, specifically in the Spurs days, even after, even now, obviously the moments don't come as often because he's tasked to do certain other things, but defensively just a menace, like strong as an ox. You couldn't move him, can guard legitimately 1 through 5. Most 5s, probably not all of them, but still just very switchable, versatile defender in lanes, very heady, more steals than fouls, ridiculous. And I'm going to add some size to this team at the power forward position. I'm going Kevin Garnett. I got to have me a shit talker. To me, you there's no way you can have an all defensive team without having somebody who has shit talking. I got him and Gary Payton, so good luck. So it's Kevin Garnett. I mean, shit. Everybody should know what he was able to do defensively. A lot of players mold their ways literally after him. What he was able to do in Minnesota, and then obviously once he got to Boston, what he was able to do there. But just one of the best rim side, like weak side rim protectors the league had seen up until that point. 7 feet tall, closed out defensive possessions, was a crazy stocks guy while still being responsible for just about everything offensively. During this era, really the last time the Minnesota Timberwolves were good, aside from this year, was when Kevin Garnett was on that team. So that should just be enough to tell you his battles with Tim Duncan, his battles with Dirk, like he was it wasn't like, he was guarding like easy peasy positions every day. Like he was getting put through the gauntlet, Chris Webber, Elton Brand, like all these players, and he was out there like he was just doing his thing every single night in, night out. So KG is my power forward for sure.
Mm-hmm. And so now, and look, keep in mind, I watch old games, you know what I mean? And I need a shooting guard. Looking at the list of shooting guards, I feel like I know who Lou's gonna go with next for his. So I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna leave it to him. And I'm gonna just go with Michael Cooper. And I understand, not a big name, you know what I mean? Played in the era where I also wasn't born yet, but I do my research and know my history. I watch these games. So when you look at those Showtime Laker teams, and they changed basketball in the sense with the pace they played at, that all started with Michael Cooper on the other end, because Magic Johnson, as great of a player he was not a defender. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, as great of a rim protector as he was, the defensive versatility wasn't there necessarily. Michael Cooper was the engine to that defense, and we're talking about a team who split running the era, or running a decade as far as winning championships, and it's common knowledge that you need defense for championships. You need one of the best defenses in the league to win a championship, and Michael Cooper was out there just shutting guys down at, I wouldn't say 1 through 5, because he was a very wiry and small player. He couldn't really handle 5s that well. He held his own in a sense sometimes. But to be able to guard 1 through 4, to be able to take the tough assignments, so a Magic Johnson could have all the energy in the world to lead all these fast breaks, to be able to get those steals and get those deflections that would lead to those fast breaks. For me, with Michael Cooper is not just what he did on defense, it's what his defense led to. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to salute him because he's not somebody who gets a ton of attention or a ton of respect for the player he was in general, especially the defender. And on last episode, I did forget to mention he did win Defensive Player of the Year in 87. So he's one of very few guards to win it. And so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give him that respect because he doesn't ever really get it.
No argument for me.
Deserve it.
Go ahead,
Frankie.
All right. So I'm going back and forth with my guards because I don't know who Kenny's going to pick for the 1. There's a lot of great candidates. I'm going to start with my center first because I could get to talk about some honorable mentions. Dwight Howard was an all-time great, 3 in a row. Rudy Gobert's doing it. A lot of great things defensively. Current era, we got to shout out Alonzo Mourning, 3-time DPOY. A lot of great guys. I'm going to go who wants to sex Mutombo. Come on. Dikembe Mutombo.
No.
The finger wag, 4-time DPOY, tied most all time. Doing it in the 90s where, you had to do it against Hakeem, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Zoe, Shaq. You had to face the some of the premier big men of all time. So I'm going to go with Mutombo, and I'm not going to regret it at all. Point guard, a lot of great guys, but I'm going to go with a throwback guy. Dennis Johnson has 9 all defense selections, 6 first team. He was the point guard for the Boston Celtics in the 80s. One of the greatest defenders to ever do it. The steal by Bird was started by Dennis Johnson and got the steal, the layup. One of the greatest to ever do it. A lot of great candidates. And I want to let Kenny talk more about it when he makes his pick, but there's a lot of great point guards. It's not just Gary Payton, a lot of great point guard defenders out there. And it's arguably one of the hardest positions to guard because of because you're 95% of the time you're at the front of the line and everything's happening behind you. You got to be able to be aware of screens and navigation and everything. And that's one of the hardest things to do in basketball. Anybody who's had a screen set on them and their big man didn't call it and you ran into that screen, what I'm talking about. But Dennis Johnson, respect, one of the greatest to ever do it.
And so my point guard, and I had 2 I was going to choose. I knew Gary Payton was going to be I knew he was going
for
first
sure.
for point guard.
For sure.
So my point guard, I'm going to also go a little older, and I'm going to have to go John Stockton. Now, the off-the-court stuff, look, I'm not getting into all the vaccine stuff, and I'm not having that conversation. I'm talking basketball, and as far as John Stockton goes, the way he looked would kind of mislead you as far as the kind of defender he was. He's sure white guy, crazy 80s white guy haircut, short shorts after they were stopped being cool for a long time. And he was pretty small, or at least seemed that way. But his lower body strength and being able to surprisingly guard up at times, you couldn't set a screen on him. He had the defensive IQ to where he was physical in a way to where he wouldn't get foul calls, but you would still feel the pressure from him. You would still leave the game with some bumps and bruises, which being able to do that on defense, especially in an era like that, it is a positive attribute because it takes a lot of smarts and a lot of IQ to be able to get away with that stuff. And it's not even just getting away with stuff. It was also his instincts. He's, if I'm not mistaken, an all-time leader in steals, and that is not a fluke. He had great hands. He had great instincts on ball and off ball, getting in passing lanes. Like I said, being physical on ball and just having guys kind of lose sight of where the ball was, even if they were dribbling, being able to get into guys, being able to use his lack of height to his advantage, being low to the ground and close to the ball, being able to time those steals and get a hand on them when the dribble was on the way up, like you're supposed to do. He was just an incredible defender. And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. One, because of how he looks. Two, the area he played in. And also a two-way guy. We're talking about defense right now, so we don't have to get into him, you know what I mean, being able to be relied on for 14 assists a game. But a lot of that pace, it wasn't just the pick and roll with Karl Malone, who we definitely not talking about his off the court stuff. But it wasn't just pick and roll. It was a lot of stuff was also started from John Stockton's defense and getting those deflections, getting those steals. And so I have to give him some credit for that as well. So he's my part around my team.
Great pick.
No, absolutely. And for the to close off, I believe this entire draft, I have to go. I need a shooting guard. This player is like a 2-3 tweener. There's some great talent left on the board. Some honorable mentions, guys like Tony Allen, who I'm not picking, Kobe Bryant, who I'm not currently picking, Dwayne Wade, who I'm not picking. I'm going with LeBron James, but I'm going with Bruce Bowen. Talk about a man who is literally his sole job throughout his entire NBA career was that's their best player. We need you to guard him for 36 minutes that you're going to play. And Bruce Bowen, you could say a lot of great things about him, not many offensively. So it wasn't like this, it wasn't like he was out there because he was a two-way player, so he was given a chance. No. He had one task and one task only, and he did that to a T. He has 8 all-NBA, all-defensive selections, and just an absolute menace, dug into players in all kinds of ways, guarded from 1 through 3, essentially, as well as anybody did in the league for that amount of time. It helped that he had Tim Duncan behind him. Now he has Kevin Garnett and Ben Wallace. So,
man. And so to round things up, so my all-time all-defensive team is John Stockton at the 1, Michael Cooper at the 2. I had Ron Artest at the 3, Dennis Rodman at the 4, Hakeem Olajuwon at the 5. Switching everything if we need to, depending on the matchup. If not, we can also have Hakeem in the drop. Look, and if you think you're going to just post John Stockton up and just take advantage of him, that's not how that works. He wasn't that guy. That wasn't going to happen with him. And it's just a lot of defensive versatility. I really wanted some versatility on my team. And this is a tough thing. Listen, if you just listening and you think we still have to. If somebody picks our guys, we still have to make these teams be able to work defensively, and we have to come up with how we will make it work. So it's not an easy thing. And so, man, my team got a lot of defensive versatility, a lot of defensive ability, a lot of deflections, a lot of block shots. My team is tough to score on.
Yep.
100%. I'll go next. Real quick, a couple guys we didn't mention. Jason Kidd, nine-time all-defense. Chris Paul, 9-time all-defense. Bobby Jones, 9-time all-defense. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 11-time. Kobe, 12-time. Draymond, multiple-time Depoy. Giannis. Like, there's a lot of great defensive players that we couldn't mention, all of them. My starting 5, Dennis Johnson at the 1, Michael Jordan at the 2, Scottie Pippen at the 3, Tim Duncan at the 4, and Dikembe Mutombo at the 5.
So
I got my 2 and 3 are 2 of the best to ever do it, the best duo to ever do it, and they got Duncan, who can guard 4s and 5s, can switch, can move his feet laterally very well, stay in front of guys, and alter shots, quarterback the defense. Dikembe can fix anything the defense messes up if they ever do, and Dennis Johnson, pesky player, competitor, winner, got one of the all-time steals leaders, and just a menace defensively, and I'm confident my team is going to get out and run and get a lot of steals and stops and go.
All right.
Yeah, and to round it off, my team, I got Gary Payton at the 1, I got Bruce Bowen at the 2, Kawhi at the 3, KG at the 4, and Ben Wallace. With this team, good luck trying to get by them. None of them are skinny, and they're not going to give you an inch of space anywhere. We have people who can press on the ball literally from 1 through 5 just about everybody's switchable except for maybe Gary Payton. You don't want him guarding centers, but I mean, it's not like we're going to let that happen that easily.
He still held his own also.
It's not like, if it's not like he's going to allow that switch to happen that easily. He's going to be able to get around those screens and he's going to be able to affect things. And now obviously we have Bruce, on the wing with Kawhi, which good luck, I guess. And, Ben Wallace menace defensively as a center. Maybe he's a little small, but don't worry. We got KG who's damn near 7 feet behind him, ready to, if help is needed, help is provided is what I'm trying to get at. So
I'm laughing at Lou's team because he's got Gary Payton, Ben Wallace, KG, and Bruce Bowen, four of the loudest, craziest defenders ever.
Hey.
And then he's got Kawhi,
because Kawhi's going to be the one. He doesn't need to talk. First of all, he never talks. But
like,
I got people talking shit. Kawhi's like, hey. He's just having a blast out there because nobody can score. But no, for real. One of the reasons I picked this team too is I think in order for it's just a different edge to it when you're talking shit on defense, man. Like it is what it is. Like some players are in the league for a lot longer than they should be sometimes just because they're talking shit and playing defense. And getting in the opponent's head and talk about a team that's going to get under your skin. Literally that's what I built my team on. Like I want my
Gary Payton and KG on the same team.
Yeah, Gary Payton, KG, and Ben and Bruce. Like it's not going to be easy. And then Kawhi is not going to get under your skin because he's talking shit. He's going to get under your skin because you can't get by him. So it is what it is.
Bruce Bowen, one of the dirtiest players of all time, too.
He used to dig his nails. Hey, that was my dad's favorite player. The reason he made me start watching basketball, believe it or not, was because
he's one of the iconic players too, though, because more like transcendent players, because that was the era where you had to start spacing the floor, and he was really that first 3-and-D guy, led the league in shooting, and that became a whole role, and that was Bruce Bowen.
To give Bruce Bowen credit also, with us being Heat fans and kind of knowing people on, I don't want to say on the inside, like, oh, y'all know Dwayne Wade. No, we know people who reported on the Miami Heat for a long time. And so just knowing how Bruce Bowen started out, not being able to hit a shot at all, and not being able to keep a spot in Miami because of that, and then going on to San Antonio and, like you said, becoming the transcendent 3-and-D guy. And that's one of the most valuable commodities in the league today. And so just giving Bruce Bowen some credit on that because he definitely deserves it. So all-time All-NBA team. And I'm going to reiterate before every segment on here. These are not GOAT debates. We don't have those conversations. So anyway, Frankie went first last time. So, Lou, you can start off. Snake draft once again. Who is your first pick on the all-time All-NBA team?
I'm taking LeBron.
Wow.
I'm taking LeBron. It is what it is. Give me the guy who can do literally everything on the floor, who has no real weakness, whether it is playing point guard, whether it is playing small ball 5, even if needed, whether it is whatever you need. Like that's what LeBron provides. He provides pedigree, championship experience, proven leader, and there's not really much else to be said. And I also think there's a slight drop. No, not a slight drop off. I just think he's elite. So I think he's a lot better than the second guy at the small forward position.
Yeah, and so I could agree with that 100%. Now, let me reiterate: these two players being nice to each other. We're not comparing the two. We're not comparing the two.
I'm just building a team, man.
We're just building teams here. It's not a debate. We don't care who's better or worse or whatever it is. But I got to go with Michael Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely.
We mentioned earlier in the episode, anytime you can win Defensive Player of the Year and average 35 points per game in the same season in a slow era. Understand, like, the final scores back then would be like 89 to 76. Mm-hmm. So if you're going out there averaging 35 and then also locking up on the other end, and that's just one of his seasons. And then Phil Jackson comes in and he's in his triangle offense. It's supposed to kind of restrict you offensively because you're really sharing the ball and it's moving, and he still goes out and he's one of the best. Well, he's the best offensive player in the league as well as defensive. And then you think about the fact that he was rookie of the year in 1988, when I believe he averaged 28 points per game his rookie year. Not in 1984, I'm sorry. Which is ridiculous enough when you think about it. It's also 1984. And then in 1998, when he retires, he retires as the MVP. And he's a 6-time champion. And like the accolades go on and on for Michael Jordan. But it's just you first team, he has to be on it regardless. Like, and no matter what, he just has to be on it. And so that's my pick for sure. My first pick.
At this point, I would argue this is one of the most underrated players of all time, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I agree.
Like the fact that this is like so many people consider it, like we talked about, we're not really going to get into the GOAT debate, but the fact that people say it's like a foregone conclusion that it's a 2-guy race, I disagree. Kareem has his accolades speak for themselves.
On every level.
On every level, 88-2 in college, won 3 national championships in 3 years in college, which is insane. When you consider you got to do the whole tournament, he won 6 championships in the league. He's a 12-time All Defense in the league. He has the longevity. He has the peak. He's won. He won in LA, which is a lot of pressure to win. There, he was the all-time scoring leader until LeBron passed him, and that record held on for a long ass time.
One made three,
with one made three, and in a completely different era, all twos and free throws. Like, I don't think it's. I think more people need to be aware that Kareem was that dude.
Absolutely.
And for number 3, for my second pick. I'm really struggling between 2 guys. I'm gonna go with the guy. It's very close. It's ironic that for me it's these 2 guys that went back and forth their whole careers. But I'm gonna give the edge to Magic. Magic Johnson. He's gonna be the greatest point guard in my opinion, paired with the greatest center in my opinion. Dynamic duo, won together, 5 championships, 3 MVPs, 3 Finals MVPs, 12 All-Stars, 10 All-NBAs. Like. He would, and he did that in a very short span. He retired at 31.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and he came back for like 4 years later, played one more season with the Lakers. But this is a guy, when we talk about NBA what ifs, I don't think I think he kind of gets forgotten because he did get to play,
and it wasn't an injury,
and it wasn't like a regular injury, right? And he did get to have a whole career, but that was we still missed out on. Maybe 8 to 10 years of Magic Johnson. And even when he came back with the Lakers in 90, I think it was 95, 96, he was still a very positive, impactful player at 35 years old, playing the power forward position. I am losing no sleep having Magic Johnson run my unit.
No, the year he came back to the year that he wasn't allowed to play anymore, but they let him play in the All-Star game. And this was back when the All-Star game wasn't like what it is today.
They were competing out there.
They were competing, and he was dogging everybody, man. He was like, I'm still Magic fucking Johnson. So I have nothing else to say about it, for sure.
All right. And so my second pick, and you know what? I'm not gonna go Hakeem because I chose him defensively. I'm gonna go with Stephen Curry.
Damn.
He's still in the league. I understand it's the all-time thing. We mentioned a lot of old school guys. I understand, but
I'm not mad at that.
We're talking about all time. Now, Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time.
Yep.
Not all he does. We're talking about off the dribble. We're talking about from the logo. We're talking about one of the best finishers of all time. He doesn't get the credit for his finishing. He doesn't get the credit for his handle. He doesn't get the credit for his playmaking. He's improved defensively over the years. He doesn't get the credit for his rebounding. He's a lot more versatile than he gets the credit for because he's so great at shooting. And he's also a multiple-time champion. The Finals MVP stuff I don't care about because, I mean, this is a historic show, so I can give context. The year Magic Johnson won it the first year because he played center in that one game. Kareem averaged 33 in that series. And so Finals MVP has never been like something that should be like, I don't want to say taken serious because it should be taken serious in some sense, but it's not the end all be all. It's not the end all be all. And so I don't knock Steph Curry for only having one Finals MVP. He's still Steph goddamn Curry.
I think Iguodala won it over him because he guarded LeBron. Like,
yeah,
he held LeBron to 35. That's what it was.
What a generous.
Like we're not gonna sit here and discredit Steph Curry at all. Yeah, I'm saying we're not gonna discredit Steph Curry. So Steph Curry, he has to be my second pick. I don't care. He's not retired. He's still playing. Steph Curry is my pick.
So that was gonna be. No, I'm not mad at it at all. That was gonna be my pick. I'm gonna keep it a band 50, but I'm gonna go with the guy who has beat LeBron in the finals. I'm gonna go with Tim Duncan. I think he's clearing away the best player at his position all time. Just Mr. Fundamental, did literally everything on the court. Really had, for what he was asked to do, had no weaknesses. His weaknesses never showed. I'm pretty sure if he played in a different era, he would have spaced out to the 3-point line because he was so efficient as a mid-range shooter, so it doesn't even matter. But defensively, we talked about what he did. Playmaking-wise, his ability to create space, his ability to, defensively cover ground, as well as offensively have a post game, have a face-up game, get around the rim, crash boards, facilitate out of the high post. Just Tim Duncan was, man, like probably one of the most boring players in the NBA because he was just so damn like basketball to a T. That's what his thing was. So him and LeBron at the 3 and the 4 is going to be a nice little way for me to start off with. And I guess I'll have to pick again. So I'm going to go to the center position. And again, this is a team that has to play together. It's not just, I'm not picking the best center. So for center, I am going to pick Nikola Jokic.
Oh, that's tough.
The reason I'm doing it is I'm trying to give LeBron, I'm trying to give Timmy some spacing. I have 3 insanely intelligent players on both sides of the court while Jokic isn't the best defender. And obviously I know that there are all-time centers that are better than him. I'm building my all-time lineup. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I have 2, if not 3 of the most efficient basketball players the game has ever seen. So I have 2 of the best. I probably have the best passing center and the best passing small forward the NBA has ever seen. So I'm feeling pretty fucking confident with my team so far, for sure.
Man,
that's tough. I'm shocked.
Yeah, you said center position,
and I again, there's some players that I'm pretty sure somebody's going to take that I haven't taken at center that I do think are better all time than Jokic. But again, I'm building a lineup. They have to play together, man. I need some spacing. I'm a spacing kind of guy.
You were scaring me when you said you was going to go with the centers. I thought you were going to go with my guy. Man, I got Steph Curry out there on the perimeter shooting from the logo.
Shit, don't do it now.
You know where I'm going. I gotta go with Shaquille O'Neal, man.
Damn. Good fucking luck.
Great pick.
I don't care about the free throw stuff, and I see the metrics. Our audience is mostly our age, so y'all get it. But if anybody younger is listening and you think Shaq is just the funny guy on TNT, look, man, you are sadly mistaken. We're talking off air about the conversations about Shaq not being able to play in this era. Look, Shaquille O'Neal, I'm not even going to get to the obvious because people just think, all he was doing was dunking on people. Shaq had some of the best footwork we've ever seen from a center, regardless of his size. At one point, he was near 400 pounds. He was agile up until he got to Miami and kind of started to get old. But he had agility. He could jump out the gym. I think his vertical, think about his size, I think he had like a 36-inch vertical or something like that. But
at
300 plus pounds, that's ridiculous. He had a handle. He could handle the ball. One of the most underrated passers in league history. And that was a real issue because obviously you cannot, you need 3 people on him and he's still going to dunk it. But if he decides he's not going to dunk it, he knew where everybody was going to be. And he was, like I said, one of the most underrated passers in league history. The defense stuff, he wasn't a terrible defender. He was just, there wasn't a lot of scheme versatility necessarily as he got older because he got slower. But even still, that's a big body to have out there on the perimeter to try to get past it. So it's tough, man. So And he'll tell you himself, he's maybe not the best center of all time, but most dominant player, absolutely. So my pick is Shaquille O'Neal.
I love that pick, Kenny, mainly because you could have taken the center as your last pick since we both took our centers, and you didn't take my guy. I get to get both of them. Really? The one of the transcendent duos that never played together, Magic and Bird.
Oh man.
Give me Magic and Bird. Come on. I own the 80s right now. Larry Bird, like I was struggling to pick one of them. I got both of them. Larry Bird, 3-time champ, three-peat as an MVP, 2 finals MVPs, 10 all NBAs, 12 all-stars. And another guy that his injuries shortened his career, his back injuries, but this guy was a triple-double machine.
Yeah.
37% from 3. I get to pair Kareem, Magic, and I give him Bird. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing, fellas? And this next one, I was struggling between 2 guys. I'm going for the power forward position right now. And like I could go with the 2 guards, and me and Lou will hash that out when it comes to that point with the two guards. But I want to build my team, and I think I'm gonna go with add some defense to this team. I'm gonna go with Kevin Garnett. Now you can make a very strong case for Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Dirk Nowitzki, even current guys, Giannis. Like you can build a strong case for them. But I get to get some spacing from KG because he was automatic from mid-range. 15-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA, 12-time All-Defense, got an MVP and a DPOY to his name. Not many guys who got both of them. And he was a winner. He did it in Minnesota. Tough place to win, tough place to compete. And first year he gets out of there, he wins a championship. No disrespect to Minnesota. You guys have a great team this year. I'm rooting for you guys. Most of you guys, not all you guys. Some of you fans. So every fan base has bad apples. But no, you could make a very strong case, and I won't argue with you for any other power forward. But my team needs a little bit. I just added Larry Bird. He needs a shit talking partner. Him and KG as your forwards. I think that's a lot of fun. And both of them are very underrated passers. Yeah. KG can bring the ball up himself. But I got 3 guys that can handle, and nobody's in my lineup is below 6'8".
And so honorable mentions. Did anybody pick Kobe?
No, we're not. I'm missing the point guard and the shooting guard, man.
The centers are done. Are the only position that's done right now.
Oh shit! I'm jumping ahead. It's late at night. All right, go ahead.
So you picked Frankie. To recap your 2 picks. Sorry, you picked KG and
Larry Bird.
So go ahead, Kenny.
All right, and so I had Magic. No, I didn't have Magic. I had Jordan, and I had Jordan, Shaq, and Steph.
Yep, you got your 4 to go.
The 3 and a 4.
My 3 and my 4. So I'm gonna go with, and since I have Steph shooting anyway, I'm going Scottie Pippen. Here's why. So one of the best defenders of all time, obviously, can guard 1 through 5. A lot of people don't know he was also a point forward. And so, I'm not going to reference that debate anymore. I'm not even going to say the first word of it. But a point a lot of people make in it is that Scottie was an MVP candidate when Jordan left. And that's not a slight to Jordan. It's Scottie Pippen's ability to run an offense. I'm not going to say it was better or worse than anybody, but he was just such a great passer and such a great playmaker. And then obviously the defense. And he was he wasn't the first point forward. And in The Last Dance, somebody in there said he created that position. He wasn't. But he did sort of revolutionize it in a sense, because in a triangle offense, it's not necessarily run by a point guard anyway. And then they just never had the point guards who they didn't have the traditional pass first point guard. A lot of teams actually didn't. That's kind of interesting. It got to that point at some point, but they mostly had defenders and shooters at point guard. And then Scottie Pippen kind of just ran the offense and brought the ball up. And so I'm going with him for that. Not only for the defensive versatility, but he's also another person who can run the offense for me, and I can really rely on him to do that. And the athleticism. We can't sleep on the athleticism. Getting out in transition, you wasn't really stopping Scotty in transition.
You got Shaq, MJ, Scotty, and then Steph trailing. Good luck.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm gonna go. I'm missing my 1 and my 2. I'm gonna go with the shooting guard here because I'm gonna leave it for Frankie.
No choice for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kobe.
Yeah.
Give me Kobe spacing as well as doing everything in terms of whatever is needed. Kobe's killer instinct that I guess LeBron lacks for some reason. Quote unquote. Yeah, obviously, if you saw the air quotes I put up. But no, like give me Kobe Bryant, one of the most heralded players of all time. Literally, there was about a 15, 20-year gap where like everybody just wanted to be like Kobe Bryant. Like he was, that kind of mentor, or, people looked up to him as a multiple-time champion, all defensive team, all NBA team, whatever accolades you need, he has it. Put up 35 in a season, like 33, 34 in a season, just ridiculous. Got to the rim, 3-level score. Give me him to space and attack off ball off of Jokic's passing and LeBron's passing. Yes, please and thank you. And then, I'm missing to round off my point guard. So we talked about Kobe defensively. We've talked about I got Bron defensively. I got Timmy D, man. So the point guard position, I'm going to go with my favorite player ever. I don't even care. I'm going with Steve Nash.
He almost made my list.
Not a bad pick.
I'm going with Steve, man. The reason I'm taking Steve, obviously, I think everybody's picked their point guard. So, we're going to give some special shout outs. Obviously, CP3, John Stockton, some of the guys that didn't make the list. My personal reason for picking Steve Nash is one of the greatest playmakers ever, one of the best 3-point shooters ever. I'm not just talking off the catch. I'm talking off the dribble. I'm talking off motion. Whatever it was, ran one of the best offenses ever. Give me him. Give me Steve Nash, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, operating, facilitating, creating spacing for a team. Yes, please and thank you. If you thought him and Amari was good, him and Timmy D, man, come on, man. And not just that, bring me this version of Steve Nash today, which, he's famously said after he retired that if he was to come back and play in the league, he would shoot more. Yes, please give me that version of Steve Nash, because that version would get regarded in other tiers that he's currently not being regarded in. Obviously, defensively, there's some lack there, but it doesn't matter. We got Kobe and LeBron out there, so they could take some breaks offensively, let Steve Nash deal with that, and they just guard up on defense. So I feel real comfortable with my team.
And so you know what, man? I'm going to round it off with my power forward. He wasn't even on my list, but just looking at my team, looking at how nobody chose him, and y'all going to figure it out once I say this. I got Shaq down low.
I know it is.
I got Steph already stretching the floor.
What you need?
I got Scottie Pippen bringing the ball up. I got to go with the man from Germany. I got to go with Dirk Nowitzki.
Damn.
Easy pick.
When we talk about people who revolutionized the game,
for sure.
Now there were bigs who shot before, and they did stretch the floor. But stretching the floor before Dirk was a 15 to 18 footer. And so shout out to the guys like the Derek Colemans who did that.
Bob McAdoo.
The guys who did that before Dirk, but Dirk was launching threes and Dirk was knocking threes down, and Dirk created a shot that one-legged fadeaway, which was unstoppable, that players at all positions use now. Man, you pair him up with Shaq, and then you got Steph also space on the floor. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
and Michael Jordan.
and Michael, I'm leaving Michael Jordan out of this line.
Oh yeah, I got Mike.
Man,
I almost forgot we gotta get him the ball too. Shit.
Man, that look, man, Dirk, I feel like, and I don't even say that because I didn't even think about the fact I live in Dallas now and I pass by the statue almost every day. But like, he kind of gets underrated, I guess, because of his defensive limitations, or like he wasn't quote unquote banging down low. Even athletic. Still, that shouldn't be like he wasn't quote unquote athletic. But there just has to be something said about being unstoppable at the end of the day and revolutionizing the game. And I think Dirk Nowitzki just did both of those things. And so I got to round my team out with him.
No, and he doesn't get credit for wanting to win after that 2011 championship, which one of the greatest finals runs to a championship of all time, beating KD, beating Kobe, beating LeBron, three of the best to ever do it. And he gets it gets forgotten that he was taking discount after discount so they could surround him with talent, and nobody came stupidly to play with Dirk, because he's one of the easiest players to play around. Like there's a lot of players, even guys on our list, that weren't easy or fun to play with all the time. Right. And I feel like Dirk is absolutely one of the guys that all his teammates love playing with and loved fighting for. So that's a great pick. I'm going to give shout outs to the guys I'm not going to pick first, because I got to round it out with my 2-guard, Tracy McGrady, my favorite player growing up. I think most players, most people in that time frame love T-Mac. Orlando T-Mac was revolutionary. Ray Allen, one of the greatest shooters to ever do it. Jesus Shuttlesworth, I love him. He's one of the only non big three Heat players that I have his jersey. Reggie Miller, Allen Iverson, Jerry West, the logo, James Harden. But I'm gonna go with Dwayne Wade. I'm sorry. Not sorry.
Got to.
Third best shooting guard of all time. Did it in an era with no spacing. If you go back and look at that 08-09 team that he dragged to the playoffs, he had 30 points per game, 7.5 assists, led the league in steals, was all defense, was averaging a block a game
at 6'4".
At 6'4". His best teammates were rookie Mario Chalmers, rookie Michael Beasley, and Udonis Haslem. He had no spacing, and they played 2 big lineups almost all year, and he still did that. Yeah, with Jermaine O'Neal, he still did that. The 13-time All-Star, and for a guy who played 16 years, he had a pretty short career. Games played, a lot of injuries. We know about the meniscus replacement in college that really shortened his career, caused him to have further issues. But some guys that have already passed him in career game played, Mike Conley, DeMar DeRozan, those guys have Rudy Gay, those guys have all passed Dwayne Wade in games played. One of the greats, Argo in Miami, third greatest shooting guard of all time. If you want to argue he had the second highest peak, wouldn't argue there that those teams were special. I'm glad he got his 3 rings. Love him to death. Reason I love basketball is because of Dwayne Tyrone Wade Jr.
Right. And so we'll recap our teams real quick. So I have Steph at the 1, Michael Jordan at the 2.
Ridiculous.
I have Scottie Pippen at the 3. I got Dirk at the 4, and I got Shaq at the 5. That is tough, man.
Tough to guard.
I should have waited for center, man, because getting Shaq as a third center is stupid. And there's still some, names we didn't even pick Hakeem.
Right.
Like,
I thought Hakeem was for sure.
Some of the guys, obviously, we had, man.
Yeah, man, you were the one who picked Jokic before Shaq.
That was a great pick, though. I can't even be mad at Jokic either.
It's not. I can't even be mad. Jokic is not a bad pick. That's crazy.
Yeah. So my team is, I got Steve Nash at the 1, I got Kobe at the 2, LeBron James at the 3, Tim Duncan at the 4, and Jokic at the 5. A very versatile team, trying to attack you in every way possible offensively, while still having the headiness of basically from the 2 to the 4, just elite level defenders. So it is what it is.
All right.
There you go. I got a lot of size on my team. I got Magic Johnson at the 1, Dwayne Wade at the 2, Larry Bird at the 3, KG at the 4, and Kareem at the 5. Dwayne is my shortest player, and he's got a 7-foot wingspan. He averaged a block a game and 2 steals in his career. Could help at the rim. I'm gonna have Dwayne and KG lead it. Defensively, Birds and Kareem are definitely no slouches. Kareem, one of the has 12. I think it was 12 all defense selections. Magic is my worst defender, and he's 6'9". So I'm gonna be just fine with this team.
Yep.
They're gonna talk. Bird and KG are gonna talk so much shit, and we're just gonna move the ball really well. Pass. Everybody's a plus passer. I love passing, and you got the all-time second in all-time scoring inside. I can still space the floor, Larry Bird. And KG, even from mid-range, I'm sure KG and Magic in this era, Magic, 85% career free throw shooter, had a season shooting 37, 38% from three on like 3.5 attempts. I think he could space the floor in this era. I know KG could. And Dwayne, with all that spacing, all those threats, slice and dice, find your big man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Man.
All right. So this time around, we did a full all defensive team. So we'll cut it down to one reserve on all-time All-NBA. Real quick, mine is the 1993 NBA MVP in Charles Barkley. Once again, now look, if you think he's just the funny guy on TNT,
please do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor.
The comparison that came up a lot of times when Zion was coming out was that Zion would be like Charles Barkley. I like Zion. He hasn't lived up to that. You're talking about somebody who was 6'4" at power forward in an era where it wasn't 7-foot power forwards yet. KG brought that in, but it was 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 250 pound power forward. And Charles Barkley at 6'4" was like, no, get on that left block. I'm posting you up, and it's 2 points automatically. You are not stopping me. It is what it is. Defense wasn't amazing. Worst three-point shooting percentage in NBA history, but the three-point shot wasn't really developed yet until really the 2000s, to where people really started to focus on considering three-point shot a good shot. So I don't really hold it against Charles Barkley too much. But we're talking about a power forward who would bring the ball up off the rebounds. He rebounded at a crazy rate, especially to be his size. Just down. I'm not going to say that. That would be crazy. Shout out to Cameron. But just attacking you relentlessly off those boards. I got to go with Charles Barkley, man. That's my one reserve.
I'll let you go, Frankie, as long as you don't take my guy.
I hope I do. I'm going to, there's a lot of great guys that we could pick. And I'm going to go with, hold on, I'm checking to see. There's the two guys I want to pick, but I'm going to go with Kevin Durant.
God damn it.
I need some shooting.
Bro.
I need some shooting. So let me add the guy who's 7 feet tall and can shoot to add to my many big guys on the court. Just some versatility defensively. One of the greatest scorers of all time. One of the prettiest scorers of all time. His jump shot, so easy, so smooth, can shoot it from anywhere, can attack the rim. Underrated defender too. I don't think he has any all defense selections, but he was very key to those Golden State teams and very good on those OKC teams that competed and that won a lot of games and got very deep in the playoffs. It was between him and Hakeem for me, but I think KD fits my team nicely.
Yeah, I guess we'll make a trade. I'll give you Hakeem. No, my reserve is going to be Hakeem, which is crazy. I sound upset about it, but no, he just took the guy that I wanted. No, for sure, Hakeem. Just in case Jokic, I guess, is having issues out there.
That's a great backup.
Let's just bring a guy who's a menace defensively. One of the best footworks the NBA has ever seen in down low on the block. Those Rockets teams to all the greatness that they aspired to be, except for every time they played MJ and stuff. But other than that, man, they literally dominated the league. He was super dominant in general, just damn near 5 stocks a game. Super efficient from the field, 51%. And he shot 71% at the free throw line too. So I have no bad free throw shooters on my team, except for maybe LeBron James.
And he's not even a bad.
And he's not a bad free throw shooter. It's just
he's average.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'll take it.
MVP. Once again, we are not saying whoever we choose is the GOAT. We don't have those conversations. We don't even have those thoughts. It's most valuable player to the history of the NBA. And that could be whatever part of history you like. But we're not saying GOAT. We're just saying most valuable player. I'm comfortable with my answer that nobody's going to take it. So I'm going to let who went first last time?
Go ahead, Frankie. I went first.
I'm gonna pick MVP of the league because I feel like this guy, all-time great, Hall of Famer. But I think as a person, as an icon, he is one of the most important figures the NBA has ever had, and that's Allen Iverson. Absolute legend. There are so many players who grew up watching in the 90s that wear the one sleeve, the headband, number 3 because of AI, the off the court, the style, the culture, but right now I want to focus on the love that AI brings and talks about players and the era we talk about now. There's not a lot, the basketball cycle is and the news coverage is a lot of the focus is on my era was better, this and that. When I watched basketball growing up, they were better. I liked it better. AI appreciates every era of basketball. He gives love to the guys that are currently playing. He gives love to the difficulty of the game now, the differences. He actually talks about it, and he brings people love and joy. Like nobody says a bad word about AI. One of the most important, influential figures to ever play in the NBA, and I'm very fortunate to have seen him play and love him and really appreciate all that he's brought to the game of basketball.
So here's why I can never have an argument against that. Allen Iverson is the reason I got into basketball. A lot of people would assume I'm from Miami, I'm a Heat fan. It had to be D Wade. I started watching basketball the year before Dwayne Wade got drafted. I was real heavy into music first. If you follow me on social media, you know that I also love music as much as I love basketball. So I was watching, might have been 106 in Park one day at home alone, and they showed the A6 commercial, Allen Iverson sneaker. I didn't know who Allen Iverson was, but I love music, so I knew who Jadakiss was. And I just see Jadakiss rapping with like the coolest looking basketball player I've ever seen in my life. And I was familiar at the time. I knew Michael Jordan because of Space Jam. I knew Kobe and Shaq because they were just larger than life figures. And I knew Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway because I'm from Miami, and growing up, like being a kid in the 90s, they were A-list celebrities in Miami. And
Alonzo Mourning would call you to make sure you slept early for your FCAT. That's they had the recordings for those. That's how I knew who Alonzo Mourning was.
Yeah, so we were familiar with them. I also sort of knew Brian Grant and Eddie Jones because that was the Heat team at the time. But watching that commercial and seeing Allen Iverson come on the screen and not only just look cool, look like the people who were outside of my apartment.
Yeah.
Coming up in a rough neighborhood. I had never seen that before. And seeing somebody like that on TV. And he was also rapping, which at 10 years old, like, look, we've all been 10 years old before. If you're a 10-year-old boy, you want to be like anybody who you think is cool. And Allen Iverson was the coolest person I had ever seen in my life at the time. And so I went to my mom's room as soon as the commercial went off. Like, I don't really know exactly what basketball is, but I need a basketball, I need a headband, and I need to grow my hair out. And so I can't argue with you with that. And so, Lou, who's your all-time MVP?
Man, it's a tough list, man, because it's overall impact on basketball itself, and I feel like it's tough. But I'm gonna go with Kobe Bryant. I will go with Kobe. I'm gonna go with Kobe. It's not the GOAT debate. It's who you think has had the biggest impact on basketball. I grew up, obviously, Miami. Dwayne Wade's the reason I do watch basketball to this day. But it's undoubtable. Every time you went out to the park, somebody shot. They said Kobe. Mm-hmm. You saw that impact all the way from little kids in the playground in the park playing or whatever, all the way up to players today in the league saying that they idolize Kobe Bryant, like he is the one for them. While LeBron is still there, and it's no discredit to LeBron or anything. It's just what he was able to do with the Lakers. Obviously, having that market, having that influence. And I think a lot of the things, the ultimate reason why I make this decision, and it's kind of tough, it's because he did pass away. So you can, sit back a little bit and really appreciate, because the biggest saying is you don't really know what you have until it's gone. And unfortunately, he is gone. So due to that reason, I feel like his impact has been even more profound, because all we have are lasting memories and the impact of those memories. And and I'm not saying that if he was alive, that shouldn't be the case, because it still should be the case. I'm just saying it just makes it that much more impactful, I believe. So that is my MVP for the league. I believe it was a moment where the league was looking for the baton from MJ to obviously whoever they were going to give it to. LeBron ended up coming out in 2003, but those years, like you stated, between not just MJ retiring, but after he was winning championships to the level that he was, here comes along Kobe Bryant, 1996, really comes onto the scenes with the Lakers in the late 99s, in the late 90s, early 2000s, puts on a magical performance, and then boom, larger than life, Kobe Bryant, for sure.
I'm trying not to say too much about Kobe because we have a Kobe episode coming up. So
Yeah.
I'm it's difficult for me to find something to say, so I'll just leave it at that. I'll just say it's a great pick, and I'll let the audience know we have a lot more on Kobe coming up.
For sure.
So MVP. Now look, let me just say, Michael Jordan obviously was considered, because we talk about the impact on the game. We want to talk about influence. He probably had the most influence on. Well, he definitely had the most influence on the game, period. As far as people wanting to be like him. LeBron James, no weaknesses on the court, and we also have to give appreciation to who he is off the court. We're talking about somebody who successfully put all his friends on. And it takes a special person to be able to do that. Not only want to do it, but succeed at it. It's a difficult thing to do. You're talking about obviously the basketball stuff, all-time leading scorer, even though he's not no off-court issues, but all-time leading scorer while also being a pass-first player is insane. There's not enough that you can say about LeBron or Michael Jordan, but this is not what that conversation is. It's most valuable to the NBA. In my pick, there are actually this co-MVPs. It's Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Now, if you don't know the history of the NBA, it started in 1946, and it was not a successful business. It was not a successful league. They were on the brink of bankruptcy multiple times. Championship games were tape delayed because it was just okay, whatever. NBA Finals, cool. Happy Days is on though. Fuck out of here. But no, that's where the league was. It was just not a thing. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird play in a college championship. It's to this day the most viewed basketball game in the history of television. And this game came on in 1979. So then they come into the league and it just shot out of a cannon. And now we have this NBA, this multi-billion-dollar international just conglomerate of a business. And that's because of solely from Magic Johnson and Larry Bird's influence. And then just on the court stuff, these were two just freaks of nature. You have Magic Johnson, a 6'9" point guard with crazy court vision. And that's still not really been replicated successfully too much aside from LeBron, in a sense. But even LeBron doesn't necessarily play point guard. He's the team's primary playmaker, but it's not like point guard all day, all game.
Yeah.
He's played multiple positions. Larry Bird, I mentioned Scottie Pippen being a point forward earlier on. Larry Bird was the second one. I think Marcus Johnson was the first, but Larry Bird took it to a whole nother level. And just a quick thing on Larry Bird. So Magic and Larry got drafted in 1979. That was also the first year the NBA ever had a three-point line. Larry Bird shot 40% from three that year. So that's insane. And so much, in all due respect to all the players who played in the game and made an incredible impact, but there is no NBA. There isn't this show. There isn't all the stuff we love about basketball. It just does not exist. They go out of business a long time ago, like the ABA did, if it's not for Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. So those are my all-time MVPs.
Great picks. You can't go wrong with those two. And you guys let me get both of them on my all-time team. Come on, man.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 10 of Playoff Foul. Thank God we had to finish late at night. But I'm Kenny Spence. Social media, find me on Twitter, or if you want to call it X, you call it X, at KennySpenceNBA. Frankie, what's your socials?
It's Frankie G _ Frankie with a Y on Twitter.
And Lou?
It's going to be on Twitter. It's going to be at SaucyTakes, no spaces with the Z at the end of takes.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Continue the momentum. Well, we're moving at a much faster pace than most brand new platforms move at. And so I'm excited about that. Let's just keep that going, man. You know what I mean? We thank you and appreciate you for the support. Like the music throughout, that's by my brother, Devin Spence. His Instagram and TikTok is BlackGlowMusic. Make sure you follow him. Make sure you listen to his BDPs. He has 2 out right now. And we'll see y'all next time.